Hey y'all, how you doing? How you holding up? Okay, I just want to remind you all, everyone needs a coach. We all need to be in therapy. We all need coaching. Life is hard. It is challenging. There's nothing wrong with you. There are options, but things are challenging. Morale is low at work. We're scared if we're going to be able to keep our jobs. Our managers and leaders are struggling. The future continues to be uncertain. I still don't think we have emotionally and mentally recovered from the pandemic. There's wars going on and continue to be hard things in the world. I just want you to know there are options out there available to you, whether that's me or someone else. I just want you to know you're amazing, and I hope you're getting the help that you want and you deserve. I also want to let you guys know, especially those of you that I've talked to and worked with in the past, I've recently shifted up quite a few things in my coaching program because I want to help as many people as possible. The tools that I teach, the coaching I provide, the results my clients get, it really is unlike anything else I've seen. And I feel so strongly that I want to help as many people as I can. These are the things that HR isn't helping you as an employee. HR is there to help protect the company at the end of the day. And mentors are great and helpful, but they don't always have these resources either. For less than $200 a month, it's a little more than $6 a day. If you're interested in coaching, I have options for you. So finances and money are not really an excuse because I have changed this to make it extremely affordable for those of you that are listening to this podcast. So if you don't have a coach, if you're done feeling stuck, if you're done struggling with morale, feeling like you don't know where to go in your career, struggling with difficult leaders, bad managers, not getting promoted, not having the career you want, dragging yourself out of bed, working crazy hours, not being able to shut off your brain from work, if you're actually ready to stop feeling that way, your very first step is let's you and I connect. Let's get on a call. Let's figure out what's going on and just talk about it. I am not the right coach for everyone, and I'm not afraid to say that because I also am really confident in who I am the right coach for, which just might be you. So go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat. That is the link where you can schedule a call with you and me. It's one-on-one. There's zero obligation. All we're going to do is talk about what's going on. I'm going to try to help you feel better right away on that call. And then if you and I both think we're a good fit, we can talk about next steps. But if all you need is that 30-minute coffee chat, let's start there. You are amazing. You deserve to start feeling better. Please do yourself a favor and just go schedule 30 minutes on my calendar. Let's just talk about what's going on. Everyone should have a coach. It makes all the difference. In fact, just this morning, I woke up to this email from one of my clients that totally made my day, that I was like, this is working. She said, hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for today. Thank you for letting me spin out of control and be a psychologically safe environment. I felt better 5 minutes after talking to you. I felt calm. I love how you were willing to tell me the truth with a disarming smile. I feel like I'm so close to being back to my best self at work. You guys, this is not just me telling you these tools work. People are getting actual results. People are feeling good and excited and motivated about their career. They're getting promoted. They're finding new jobs. They're getting off coaching improvement plans. They're shutting their brains off of work at the end of the day. They are no longer working nights and weekends. They are saying no and pushing back without feeling guilt and shame and worried about the impact that's going to have on their performance. These things work. If you're struggling, reach out. I got you. Okay, today we're going to talk about the best strategy I can offer to you when you find yourself working with lazy people. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of them out there, unfortunately. And it's so frustrating and hard to work with these kind of people. There are people out there that just don't do their job, or they don't have the same passion or the same drive, or they're doing things very bare minimum, not in a great way. And this is hard because a lot of times it means more work for you. I also cannot count the number of times I've heard those of us that are not as young in the workforce whine and complain about the younger workforce of how they just don't have the same work ethic. When everyone gets a trophy, no one knows how to work hard. And if you find yourself thinking that, listen up. Today's episode is for you. A couple examples of things I really struggled with working with some lazy employees. And I want to tell you how I applied this strategy I'm going to teach you and what it shifted and changed for me. So as I mentioned, back in the day when I worked at Amazon, I was in charge of helping doing marketing for some of our holiday lightning deals. Now, lightning deals on Amazon, truth be told, I don't even know if they still have those. Lightning deals usually only have so many of them available to buy at that lower discount, and the discount is usually only available for a few hours. These are usually really successful. They're usually some of the best discounts you can get. And for the team I was working on, this was a key part of our holiday strategy and hitting our overall sales goal. So as the person in charge of marketing, before I go and click publish and put this lightning deal live on Amazon.com for people to go and buy, I need to make sure everything's situated, that we have enough inventory, it's in the right warehouses, that the pricing structure is correct, all the information that we're telling people about this product is correct and accurate. There's a lot of things we need to check and make sure are ready, because ultimately we want the customer to know what they're buying and to have a positive shopping experience. We were running probably a couple hundred lightning deals over a couple weeks during our peak holiday season. And at the time, the person I was working with that was in charge of ordering in the inventory and getting it into the right warehouses was new to the company, and they weren't doing a great job. And I was so annoyed. I was so frustrated. I would come in super early, like 5:30, 6 a.m. every morning to get ready for the next day's lightning deals. And it just continued to be a dumpster fire. Like nothing was right. Nothing was where it was supposed to be. Nothing was ready to go. And it was so much work for me every single day. And I was so annoyed and resentful because I kept thinking, this shouldn't be this way. This person is just lazy. They're not doing their job. We've taught them how to do it. They're past the new kid stage. They should be better at it. At one point, I was whining and complaining so loudly about it as we were sitting in cubicles. The guy next to me yells over the cubicle. He's like, "Shut up and just deal with it." He had every right to yell that at me, by the way. At the time, I was so mad. I was fuming. I was like, you don't even know what I'm doing for you people. Anyways, okay. So in this moment, I am very frustrated because my belief is this person is lazy and terrible and this is not going well. No matter what anyone told me in that moment, you couldn't have convinced me otherwise, okay? So I grumbled and whined and complained and hustled my way through and got through on the other side, and we were fine, but I was not a great employee. I felt terrible. I was working ridiculous hours. I was eating crazy junk food. I physically felt horrible. I wasn't sleeping well. It was not a good experience, to say the least. Okay. Another time I've struggled with people that I believed were really lazy and not doing their job was when I was working on a team where our job was to communicate out to the global Amazon employee base changes operationally and how they do their job and how they access different network services. So there was a change happening. Security is Amazon's number one priority, which is great. I love that they're very focused on keeping me as a shopper, my information safe and secure, and all of my information safe and secure. So there was a change happening where our employees were going to have to take a few extra steps every single day when they logged into the network in part of this change in security. And so it was my job to help lead the team in going and driving out this communication globally in multiple languages and our phased rollout approach. And we knew employees were not going to be happy about this. The timing was not great. The steps the employee needed to take were not very clear and easy to explain and unnecessarily overly complicated. And there was a lot of steps. And I was so frustrated because this was such a terrible solution. And in my head, I'm like, we're Amazon. We obsess over the customers. In this setting I was at, our customers were our employees. I'm like, why are we not obsessing over that experience? Why are we making this harder? Our employees are already stressed and tired and worried about all these other things. And now we're going to add this on top of them. I was so frustrated and annoyed. Again, I struggled and climbed my way through it, and we got through it in the end, but it was not pretty. It was a rough, I don't remember how long it took us to roll it out, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But I was dragging myself into work every day. I was judging the crap out of people. I was rude. I was unhappy. Like, it was miserable for everyone. Recently, I was coaching a client as well who came to me, and they're a very successful top leader, and they had hired a new manager that was going to start leading and managing some of their team, and their previous team was not happy about it. These employees loved this leader and weren't excited about the change. And at the same time, this new manager that came on had some health challenges and a few other things where the initial onboarding and relationship and trust building with this new manager wasn't ideal by any case. So their previous employees were whining and complaining and being bratty. And when this leader would go and ask for specific examples and details, no one could provide any. But everyone was complaining. Everyone was frustrated and stuck. And this leader was feeling really frustrated because they didn't know what to do, because this team that they loved, they now couldn't stand. And they were so frustrated and annoyed because they believed these people are just being lazy. They just need to buck up. They need to get on board. They need to put their heads down and do their job. Makes total sense. Okay. But here's what I want to offer to you. If you find yourself in similar settings where you're really struggling because it's a terrible plan, people are lazy, people aren't thinking this through, people aren't doing their job well, here's what I want to offer to you. Our brain believes and is fighting as hard as it can to give you all the evidence, all the examples, all the proof as to why that other person or the change or the thing they're trying to do is the problem. We think it's other people. We think it's crappy products. We think it's changes in due dates. We think it's things outside of us. And when you go and talk to your coworkers, to your mentors, to your peers, even other leaders, they may agree with you. And I'm also not here to say that there are not lazy people, that there are not crappy products, that there are not changes that are being made that are terrible and shouldn't be made. That may be true. But hear me out. That is not the problem. The problem is who you become when you are obsessing and believe those things are a problem. That is why it's a problem for you. There are tons of terrible products out there. There are tons of lazy people in your company, maybe even on your team. It doesn't become a problem for you until you start to show up believing those thoughts and feeling frustrated and annoyed, and then you become part of the problem. Hear me out. Let me show you what I mean by that in these 3 examples, and then I'm going to tell you what can you shift. It's really small, but it works every time. What can you shift when you find yourself in this setting? So going back to that example of running those lightning deals, it was creating about an extra 4 to 5 hours of work a day. And this was peak season, so I was already probably working 12 hours a day. Like, I didn't have these extra 3 to 4 hours to be working on this. When I'm showing up to work every day and I'm telling myself, this person's so lazy, they're an idiot, why is it this way? I am feeling really, really pissed off. Like, I am just like almost angry rage, and I am sitting down, and that is the feeling I am working from, because in my head, every problem I find, every time it doesn't go according to plan, I am adding evidence to my belief this person is a problem. They are lazy. They don't know what they're doing. It should not be this way. So when that's how I feel and I'm sitting down, I'm complaining, I'm sighing, I'm rolling my eyes, I'm whining and complaining about it to anyone that will listen. It's taking me longer to actually do the things I need to go and do because I'm so frustrated and annoyed. I got to give myself a little pep talk before I go and do it. Like I said, I was eating all the things. I think I ate like a giant, huge Costco-sized bag of gummy bears that holiday season. I remember I really can't eat gummy bears to this day because I had a bag of gummy bears I would just snack on all day because that sugar would give me that like dopamine hit I needed while I was so angry and annoyed. But what that ultimately was creating for me, that's who I was being in the office every day. I was being real lazy in my approach to deal with it. I was not solving the problem at its root cause. I was just doing whack-a-mole every day. I was making it even worse by whining and complaining about it. I was being lazy in my approach. I could have gone and said, no, this is terrible. This is wrong. Until you do your part, I can't do mine. I could have gone and been like, hey, I can't do this myself. I need other people's help. There were a million other solutions, a million other ways I could have done it, but I wasn't able to get there. I wasn't able to show up as the employee that I thought was doing a good job because I was so stuck in this belief of they're the problem. They are lazy. This isn't fair. It shouldn't be this way. Okay. Again, so your brain is going to want to tell you the problem is the person. The problem is the things that didn't happen. The problem is the inventory isn't in stock or in the right warehouse. That was not the problem for me. At the end of the day, it was like, oh, we don't have it. We're not going to sell it. Someone else at Amazon isn't going to make as much money. I still get paid the same amount no matter what. The problem for me was how I was showing up, just like that employee I believed was lazy. Okay, so what's the real problem if it's not the person or the change in that example where I needed to go and communicate out the change in how employees access the network? I was stuck in such belief that like, this is ridiculous. There is no way we can help this land with employees in a good way. I believed so strongly. I was so annoyed and so frustrated at what we were being asked to do and believed that it was because other people were too lazy to come up with a better solution. And once again, they just wanted the employees to deal with the aftermath of that. I was convinced there was no good way to communicate this. So when that's how I'm feeling, because of what I'm believing, and I'm showing up every day to these calls and to these meetings and trying to come up with a plan, I am judging the pie out of these people. Like, if they could have heard the thoughts in my head, they were not kind. They were very rude. I'm rolling my eyes. I'm pushing back at every single step along the way. So of course they're getting more annoyed with me as well. I'm telling them why this is hard, why I think it's dumb. I'm asking a million questions that don't even really necessarily relate to the communication I need to drive. I'm ruminating on it. I'm bad-mouthing them to others. I'm spending time getting people to agree with me with how dumb it is. I'm complaining to my manager and my leader about this because I am so convinced that this should not be. I am so annoyed because I just believe this is ridiculous and they're being lazy. That may be true. It may be ridiculous. They may actually be lazy in their approach. We have no way of knowing, but it could actually be true. But again, the problem is not them. The problem is not what they were asking me to communicate. The problem was that I was being ridiculous. I wasn't even looking for a good way to communicate it. I wasn't even at the beginning giving them options and solutions of like, here's 5 different ways we could communicate it. Here's what I recommend and why, but here's all the options. And letting it be. I was so frustrated. I was acting just as ridiculous as they were, just through my lens of my job. So let's look at that third example. Remember, the other person is not the problem. The problem is always how thinking about it that way makes you show up as an employee. So this leader was so frustrated with her team, whining and complaining and being spoiled brats and wasting their time as they complain about this new manager, that this leader would come to work, be so frustrated, completely withdraw, try to avoid these people, or go the opposite and spend so much of their time trying to listen to them, trying to make them feel better, trying to justify why this new leader was actually good, trying to coach them and listen to them complain. But yet, this leader also acknowledged they were ticked off and they didn't want to feel good about it. Now, this team they thought they loved, now they hated them and they were totally judging them. And ultimately, the result that created for this leader, they were acting like a spoiled little brat, just like their employees. And they were wasting their time hashing out the same thing over and over, listening when they had no evidence to back up these complaints, trying to get these employees to feel good that didn't want to feel good. This leader even acknowledged they didn't want to feel good. So I'm like, why are we trying to make these other people feel good? Okay, so when you find yourself in this setting, you're allowed to be frustrated and annoyed and worked up. But what I want to let you know, that's just going to keep you stuck and it's going to keep you acting just like the people and the terrible products you're frustrated and annoyed with. We as humans, we do this all the time, very unconsciously. We mirror each other. So what do? Okay, if the people and the process change and the manager and the timeline, if those things are not the problem, maybe they are lazy, maybe they are terrible decisions, great. If that's not the problem, if the problem is us and how we're showing up, this is the best news I can give you, because guess what? You have a ton more control over that than you have over who's your manager, what changes are coming you need to communicate, what inventory has been ordered in what warehouses. Yes, you can try to influence that, but you can't actually control it. You can control you every single day, 100%. This is where you get to ask yourself, okay, this is hard. This is terrible. I don't agree with this change. These products are not where they need to be. I don't like how my team is acting. Now what? Who do you want to be in those scenarios? What are you willing to do and not do? What are you okay with? What are you not okay? It's such a small shift, but it's everything. So when you think of, okay, these lightning deals are terrible and a hot mess, who do you want to be? Here's the shift in your thinking that's going to make all the difference. Instead of spending your emotional energy and your brain power focused on how terrible this is and how it shouldn't be, let's redirect your brain to something a little more helpful that's going to help you be the kind of person you want to be. It's as simple of a shift of, okay, this is not great. This is terrible. This is not working out how I thought. Now what? What can I do to help? What am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? What can I do to make sure we don't repeat this issue? How am I going to get other people involved? Asking yourself these questions and thinking of it this way, do you see how it just like lowers your energy from being so annoyed, so frustrated, holding on so tightly to being ticked at what is, and just gives you a little bit of permission to let it go, to be frustrated and annoyed, and to start moving forward. When we're looking at needing to drive that communication change that we don't agree with, I'm like, okay, I think this is terrible. How can I make this less painful for the employees? I always think of like, this is going out to my friends here at work. What can I do to help them? Thinking of it that way, I'm more likely to come up with a better solution and ultimately like who I'm being at the end. I'm still going to push back, but now I'm not pushing back from being angry and frustrated and annoyed. I'm just pushing back because I believe this is the right thing to do and I want us to do better. And I'm also being a team player. At Amazon, we call that disagree and commit. That is how I disagree and commit. I acknowledge this is not great. I'm going to push and I'm going to do my part to make this as good as I possibly can for the people I need to communicate this to. Looking at that example, when you're frustrated with your employees because you think they're being whiny brats and not liking change in leadership, who do you want to be? What kind of leader do you want to be? It's as simple as a small shift of redirecting your brain to, of course they don't like this. It's change. Change is hard. It's okay for them to not like this new manager. It may take some time. Maybe there's some things this new manager does need to change, and maybe there's some things this other person needs to change. It's all okay. It's changing your thoughts to, it's okay for them to be upset. What do they need? It's changing your thoughts to being curious. I wonder why this is bothering them so much. This person's job hasn't changed. They still have the same opportunities. I'm still here to help them. I wonder what's going on. When your emotion is high, your intelligence is low. We think things outside of us, the change, the manager, the inventory, we think those things are the problem. That is not the problem. The problem is how we feel when we make those things outside of our control the problem, because we make it more emotionally intense because we know logically we can't control that. When you shift the problem to you and how you're choosing to show up, that you have so much more control over, and emotionally it's less charged, and your brain, which is the most brilliant, powerful tool you have, I hope you're taking good care of it, your brain will go to work to give you better answers. It'll help you no matter what, no matter how lazy that other person is, still like you at the end of the day, still be proud of who you are. And I always like to think, you know what? If at the end of all this, worst case scenario, I have some negative repercussion because someone else is lazy and didn't do their job, so be it. I don't want to work for a company where I am punished for that. I like me. I show up in the best way I can. I'm learning, I'm growing, I do good work. I'm here to disagree and commit. And I'm also here to push people to do their job and do better. And if that's not allowed in this setting, good to know. This is not the setting for me, and that's okay. But here's the thing, 99.9% of the time, that is allowed. But we need to stop blaming the other person, the change, the thing that's wrong, and we need to start acknowledging the only thing that's a problem is how I'm showing up. That is 100% within your control. All right. If that is what you're struggling with, you guys, these are the types of things I do coaching on with people every single day, all week. Hire a coach. I'm telling you, it makes all the difference. All you need is someone to help teach you how do you manage your brain to give you the best possible outcomes at work every single time. It's so much easier than you think. All right, you're amazing. You got this. We'll talk soon. If what you're learning from this podcast is helping, this is just the beginning. Each week, I offer a limited number of coffee chats so that you and I can connect one-on-one and talk specifically about what's going on for you. You'll leave this call feeling more hopeful and motivated, but I'm also going to teach you a few things to try right away to get unstuck. Space is very limited and these are free, so grab your spot before they're gone. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat and sign up today. You got this.